That's right, folks. Russia has won and Ukraine has lost. The war is basically over. Welcome to Everyman Prepping. And that is what one U.S. Intel officer, it's unidentified intel agency person, has been told to Seymour Hersh, the investigative journalist, and what he's been reporting out on his Substack account, his articles, and whatnot. Anyway, we're going to go through who is this Seymour Hersh guy? What credentials does he have? What does it mean if Russia has won this war already? And why is the United States kind of keeping it quiet? And why are they still throwing billions of dollars, all the ammunition and missiles and everything? Why are they still throwing that at Ukraine if they know the war is gone? We're going to talk about at the end. So who is Seymour Hersh? I'll put the photo up here so you can check him out. He's an old dude, been around forever. He's like 85 years old or so. Like I said, he won a Pulitzer Prize. But he's most recently known for, he did the investigative journalism and came to the same conclusion that many of us basically already came to a while ago, that, Russia did not blow up Nord Stream 2, and it was the United States, NATO, UK, and all of that. Basically, he blamed the United States. So, the United States denied that. No media came out and said that. He's the first one. He came out and did his report and said, yes, U.S. blew it up. So that's his claim to fame most recently. Like I said, he's been a journalist for eons and eons. He probably has a lot of contacts, and maybe this contact within the U.S. intel agencies is legitimate, but we're going to take it with a giant grain of salt of what he says. We're going to look at a couple articles written by a couple on websites of what Seymour has put out there, what this intel guy said, and we have to see, is this legitimate, or is this intel guy feeding this to the journalists in some 4D chess move to outwit Putin, which I highly doubt it is. But let's go through it right now and check out what they had to say. Please, everybody, thank you so much to those of you that have already, went down and hit that like button, did a comment or share and subscribe and all that. And if you haven't done so yet, please do so. It really helps out the channel, helps get the word out, especially all those likes getting out there really helps, get the video on the algorithm and distribute it so more people can get this news out here. Okay, so we have here the U.S. government and media are lying. Oh, who'd believe that? About Ukrainian counteroffensive, says Seymour Hersh. Like I said, he does carry some weight in the community, in the journalistic community. Well, let's see what he says. This says here that Kiev and Washington are deceiving the public about the situation on the ground. Basically, what's being put out by the media and the government is, the offensive is kind of working, the counteroffensive, they're gaining ground, they're pushing the Russians back. But is that true? Well, not according to this intel agent. So we'll see we'll read some stuff here. The US Intelligence Analyst believe that Ukraine has given up on its counteroffensive against Russia, and that the only thing prolonging this conflict is the unwillingness of Washington and Kiev to acknowledge its failure. So why are they doing this? We're going to get that to the end about why they're not acknowledging this failure. But according to the U.S. Intel, all those three-letter agencies, they know that's basically all of it done with. So this is a quote, according to the Intel guy. It's all lies. The war is over. Russia has won. There is no Ukrainian offensive anymore, but the White House and the American media have kept the lie going, unquote. Now this flies in stark contrast to what is going on in public. An example here is the Pentagon's Defense Intelligence Agency, a guy named Trent Mall. He has put out lately. He was interviewed in The Economist. It says here that he touted Ukraine's success to The Economist earlier this month and claimed Kiev's forces had a quote-unquote realistic chance to break through Russian defensive lines this year. So that's the public stance, whereas according to this intel guy, the private stance is that it's already lost. Here's another quote. The truth is, if the Ukrainian army is ordered to continue the offensive, the army would mutiny. The soldiers aren't willing to die anymore. But this doesn't fit the BS that is being authored by the Biden White House, unquote. So let's go on to this other article now. It says here that U.S. sees Ukrainian army demoralized with no chance to win. If that's true, and they're just pumping weapons and money over there to make them fight, sending people to their death for their own agenda, imagine the evil in that. It's unimaginable that if they believe there's no chance of winning at all, but they're still sending people to their death. That's something to think about. Anyway, this intel guy is adding that there currently exists no discussion in Kiev or the White House regarding a ceasefire. So Washington and Kiev, they don't even want to talk about a ceasefire or peace or a truce or anything. They just got to keep this going. And here we go with another quote from Hersh and from the intel guy. There are significant elements in the American Intelligence Committee relying on field reports and technical intelligence who believe that the demoralized Ukrainian army has given up on the possibility of overcoming the heavily mined three-tier Russian defense lines and taking the war to Crimea and the 4 oblast seized areas by Russia. So they basically have given up. Continuing. The reality is that Vladimir Zelensky's battered army no longer has any chance of victory, unquote. So that's what they're basically getting at there. So that's the stance coming out from everybody there. The intel community, no chance of winning, but yet they keep it going. So let's talk about why. Why would the U.S. be doing this? Well, I've come up with some reasons here. If you want to put some in the comments why you think that if there's no chance for Ukraine to win, why are we pumping billions of dollars, sacrificing Ukrainian men and soldiers, women now, to the death? Put it down below. But here what I have, the first thing is, the United States needs to save face. With them and NATO, they can't see to lose to Putin. After they put in hundreds of billions of dollars, all the top-line equipment, they don't have the F-16s yet, but they've got mostly artillery, tanks, heavy weapons, missiles. If all that can't defeat Russia from all of NATO and the United States, well, that looks pretty bad for NATO and the United States, and it looks very good for Russia and Putin. So they got to save face. They can't let that happen. They got to, the United States wants to stay top dog on the world stage. But if they know this war is over with, they're going to lose that. They're going to try to prolong it over this. That's what next thing you have. So they got to try to last this winter. They're going to have to try to go over this winter. They think that maybe this winter will be so harsh that the Russians will pull back. They'll use the missiles and long-range stuff to attack supply lines, kind of try to starve the Russians out from being in Ukraine, cut them off, and maybe they'll retreat. I give that about a 2% chance of happening. Throughout history, Russians are tough people. They've lasted through starvation, wars, being cut off. I don't think they're going to give up that easily if that's what they're looking for, but that could be a reason as well. Just hope the winter cuts them off. I got a feeling that Russia's going to use this winter, if Ukraine, hasn't given up, that they're going to take out the electricity, infrastructure, gas, make it a very cold, tough winter on the Ukrainians, where they're going to be begging to give up, basically, and they're going to come running to Russia for peace. Next one on here I have is, next year is an election year, right? And no wartime president has ever not been elected, so you need the war to continue. If you need that help in the polls and everything, you need to have that war go on and on and on throughout the election. So what do? You make Ukraine, you bribe Ukraine's elites to keep that war going, sacrifice their men. I mean, just like I said, you got to think about the evilness of that right there. Just sacrificing another country's men. So the possibility that you can get reelected. But it's an election year, and as we know, politicians will do anything to get elected. So, you got to have that war going. You got to see that you're fighting the good fight to rally the support behind the President of the United States. So that's going to be a big thing going on as well. Another thing, China looks like they're ready to go. Like I always talk about, October might be time to go. Maybe, because it's good weather, good oceans, good currents, all that. It's either October or April. Well, they could also be waiting for the United States to be bled dry by this Russian conflict. And the United States knows that maybe China won't attack Taiwan until the Russian thing is basically settled or done with. So if the U.S. prolongs the war over there, they know it holds China off. Gives time to build up Taiwan, send them more weapons, send them more money, get Taiwan ready, prepare the Pacific Fleet ready to go. Could be a tactic that, you're preparing for that by prolonging this war because China might not go. Is that a gamble? Yes. Could China go anyway? They might if they get fed up, and then it's like the perfect time we're going anyway. But it could be, an opportunity to hold that off while they sacrifice Ukraine, basically, because they, like I said, probably going to know they lost. Now, what happens if Russia does win? And this could be another reason why, the United States is going to do everything they can to try to, if they know it's over, that they're hoping something will happen where Russia gives up. Because if Russia wins, people are going to see sanctions don't work. They heavily sanctioned Russia. Well, if U.S. sanctions don't work, if NATO sanctions don't work, no other country is going to be feared by them. You can't use that. They're going to lose the power of sanctions. And that's one of the big sticks the United States has when it goes over and, and bullies everybody around. So those will be seen as being a failure. The United States is going to lose the reserve currency status. You can't be the reserve currency. You can't back it up with your military. And that's what the United States has done over, 50, 60, 70, how many years since they've been reserve currency is they've backed it up with the military. Well, if that military is being seen as being defeated, well, you lose that power too. The dollar goes to crap, and yes, we have financial chaos over here. So you got to protect against that in a Russian win. What else does a Russian win signify beyond that is, well, it signifies the BRICS nations gaining more power, taking on the West, and they are now the big kids on the block. They are the ones that the country's going to go to. And like I said, the U.S. falls to second-tier status. That basically hurts us not only, like I said, financially, but with, exporting inflation that we used to do, because you won't be able to do that. It's going to be a huge fiasco over here if that happens, even though that's the way it looks like it's happening. So they're doing everything they can to stop that. So that's what I've come up with. Love to hear your opinions. I just know that I think we all had a feeling, basically, us and you and everybody, that it's not going well for the Ukrainians. No matter what they say about how they're doing, they just left. Last winter they didn't do anything, and they let Russia dig in, build that three-tiered mine defense. They weren't given planes and long-range missiles fast enough, and Russia took advantage of it. And I think it's too late. So if they take this next winter off, Russia's gonna dig in more, and they might even advance more. And so I don't think that taking this winter off and just hitting their supply lines is going to do much. I don't know. I think it's just a failed cause over there. We'll see. Maybe the Ukrainians turn around. Maybe they, they muster some strength during the winter. They rally and they take the winter and they go on the offensive while the Russians are huddled down. Maybe that happens because the F-16s come in and they really can blow a hole through the lines and make it through there. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But you just need to be prepared for that to die down and fail, and Russia to be seen as the victor, and then China to go and start their next move. So that's all I have for you today. And until next time, keep your ear to the ground and head on a swivel.